Well, howdy, 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 everybody. So good to see you all this evening. I just checked over in the comments from today's post. And man, look at all you guys just loving the summit, sharing your takeaways from that. And actually, tonight we actually have some of the speakers with us tonight, so it's really cool to have them. We'll bring them on just a little bit later here. But first, just wanted to welcome you guys to joining us. And we'll give you all a few minutes to kind of trickle in. Let me know in the comments where you are listening from. So let me know just where in the world, in the country. I know we have, let's go take a look here. I'm going to go take a look at how many folks we have signed up for the summit as we right now. Let's go ahead. Here we go. All right. So me scroll down here and take a look. As of the moment, we have 19,575. There we go, folks. Look at that, 19,000. So we will cross 20,000 then for the summit, which is awesome. We might even cross that sometime tonight, if not early tomorrow morning. And let's see, we got Rachel, who's from Michigan. Yeah, folks, if you let us know where you're coming from. We got Rachel, who's from Michigan. Chris is from Southeast Wisconsin, Nova Scotia. Awesome. Paul from Raleigh, North Carolina. Karen is from Aruba, but from Wisconsin. Pueblo, Colorado, and then Ontario. So welcome, everybody. Keep letting me know where you're from. Laura from Pennsylvania. We have a lot of Pennsylvania folks, and it could be because I think they're actually, Gary can tell us here in a minute. I think you guys are the mushroom capital of the U.S. So, that would make sense that a few folks from Pennsylvania are joining us. Bangalore, South Carolina, Florida, Surrey, British Columbia. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out. And I'd also love to know in the comments what your top takeaway. If you've watched some of the summit, let us know your top takeaway. I just checked out the page right now, and we have over 550 folks streaming the summit as we speak right now. And it's gone up and down throughout the day. Different people have been logging on at different times, but it has been super cool to watch all of everyone, jump on and do that. Jim says, Michigan, I drive trucks, lots of time to listen, not much time on weekend. It would be nice to have a couple more days to listen each week. Cynthia says, hello from Irmo, South Carolina. Bahamas, we got Bahamas in the house. Ben, you're from Central Iowa. Good to see you, Ben. Calgary, and Shenandoah Valley. Yes, I have spent some time in the Shenandoah Valley. So welcome, everybody. So glad you are here. And yes, definitely give me a takeaway that you've had so far. So I'm going to go ahead and bring some of our speakers on here, folks. We've got some awesome speakers from day one. Super glad that they are going to be joining us here. So we'll go ahead. We will bring on Gary. Gary, welcome.
Hi, guys.
Yes, Gary shared us about the commercial agaricus mushroom production down in Pennsylvania. So super cool to see that. That was actually one of the speakers' highest rated talks. So I had a lot of speakers actually, Gary, because they're specialty mushroom growers. They wanted to see how you guys are doing it down there. So they were excited to check that talk out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I'm going to bring on Trad. Trad, good to see you too.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We met Trad last night. Trad is the owner of Mushroom Mountain. And you in South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we've
Gary?
got.
Nice to see you.
All right. And then we're going to bring on Tina. Now, Tina is a. What did you call yourself, Tina? You gave yourself a specific title, and you said it basically means I do whatever they tell me to.
Technical director.
Technical director. And
hey,
people.
Gary.
Hi, Tina.
And you actually, Gary and Tina, you're both from the exact same area.
Yeah.
We are.
Yes. And Tina shared on, she deep dived into all things lion's mane mushroom, which again is such a cool mushroom. And Jim said was amazed at the medicinal benefits from today's speakers. Andrew said, a great info today. I'm only halfway through the speakers. Yeah, there's a lot, folks. A lot of speakers today. Mary's jumping in, said, hey, Michael, just finished hooking up our humidifier for the new grow room. We're watching the summit tonight. Angela said, my key takeaway is I need more shrooms in my life. Yes. I think we are getting some mushroom addicts from this summit, which is awesome. Anna says she loves your recipes, Tina. And yes, and then Pam said trad session was very interesting. Yes, it was. And if you didn't listen to last night's Q&A, Trad kind of went deep on the magic mushrooms. So you might want to check that one out. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, can I interrupt you here, Gary, and just congratulate you? Because you brought together an amazing group of people. You know, I feel like, we've added to the tribe. You've done an amazing job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's kind of what we're good at, some of these speakers we really had to track down. And you speakers know who you are. But yeah, there's a flurry of emails. And we actually had to switch emails halfway through because I found out my email wasn't getting into people's inboxes. So I had to change the emails and go to a brand new email to communicate with some folks. So yeah, it was I thank you for sharing your time, because again, it wouldn't be, yes, we produced it, and yes, our team spent hundreds of hours pulling this all together. The research and just so in our group, there's 4 of us. Well, there's actually 6 of us on the team here. So I want to give a shout out to our team because they are absolutely amazing. We've got Kirsten, who's been with us now for over a year, and she's our project and kind of like business manager. So she keeps all of us straight. And then we've got Heidi, who is actually the one who listened through every single minute of every single presentation, and did all the takeaway points. She kind of got all the information together for the workbooks and all that. We have Jessica, who's our graphics. So if you guys have seen some of the amazing graphics that she's put together, that was all Jessica, and she's also our automation expert. So during this email, we'll probably send out about 250,000 emails between everyone who gets emails across across everything. There's a lot of emails to go out. So she's all in charge of that. And then we have Yano, who's actually in the Philippines. He's the one that edited every single video. So he did the, if some of you happen to see the little teaser video that we sent out, he did that. He edited every single presentation, added in the pictures, added in everything like that. And then we have Jella, who is on customer service as well. So again, we have an amazing team. I just can't thank them enough for all the work they did as well. All I really did was interview all of you, and then had a bunch of sleepless nights that we wouldn't be ready in time. So that was my input. But Paul says you need to listen to the videos at 1.5 speed so you can get through them quickly. And one of the things too, that all the speakers from the day had long presentations. It wasn't like little short ones. I mean, Trad, I think you went for at least 45. Tina, I think an hour. Gary, I think 45 minutes. So, but there was so much information to share. I mean, that's the thing. Is just in this whole mushroom world, there's just so much to learn.
Yeah, I got to say, Trad, I really enjoyed your talk. I'm inspired by what you do. The whole variety of things you do.
Thank you. Yeah, I heard so many good comments on the thread about what you do too with the lion's mane, and I saw the comments and how it's affecting everybody, and that's great. We have traction here.
Yeah. This is an amazing venue. So thanks again for that. Yeah, man.
So I think the cool thing, you just hit on something, Tina, like the lion's mane. It's and Trad hit on this in his talk too, is that we're facing a multi-billion-dollar conventional medicine system, and and you just look at what lion's mane can do for folks. I had family, and it runs in my family as dementia and Alzheimer's and all of that. So my wife has me on doses of lion's mane every single day to take that. And that's actually the reason I drink coffee. She puts it in my coffee every single morning, powder in my coffee every morning. So that's how she gets it in me. And we have, obviously, now that we have the mushroom room, we have fresh lion's mane. But I think that's the cool thing about what we can do here, what we can bring together, is we can empower tens of thousands of people to understand that you can grow your own medicine. The work you're doing, Trad, with the antibiotics, the rapid turnaround antibiotics is really, really cool. And then again, the beautiful thing about mushrooms is you can grow them on your counter. You can grow them in a back shed. You can grow them tomorrow. We've got so many different speakers talking about the systems. So anything from outdoors and then, obviously inside more larger scale systems. But absolutely, it's incredibly empowering. And again, that's the reason why we do this as a company is we want to educate people to give them more power so they can grow their own food and heal themselves.
Yeah. So can I put a question to you, Trad? Would that be okay?
Go for it.
Could I do that? Okay. So we grow a lot of mushrooms. And we grow a lot of fresh mushrooms. So recently I've started doing fresh mushroom tinctures. So I take the fresh mushrooms right from the growing room, put them in my Ninja with 190 proof alcohol and start it that way. And then do fresh mushrooms for the water extract as well. Do you have any thoughts on that? Am I diluting things too much or?
Oh, Dredd, you're still muted.
Do you take the mushrooms that were spent from the alcohol to do the hot water bath?
No. I mean, because we have access, I just go into the cooler and get the ones that are about to expire.
Yeah,
And,
I would probably use the ones that you've already decocted or whatever from the alcohol, because the cell walls are damaged and you can get the rest of the water soluble stuff out.
Okay.
Yeah. Damn, I'm just giving you secrets left and right, everybody.
Well, thanks.
But it's not no secret. I mean, people need this. They need to. They need to know, and the alcohol first, hot water bath second works really good, and then mix the two, and then there's little risk of contamination, right? If you do the hot water bath first, and then you're hanging around to stuff, I mean, there could be a bacterial bloom,
Right.
So,
yeah. So, Gary, a question for you. I was looking through chestnut mushrooms. Those are agaricus, right? They're just
Yeah, they kind of are, but I don't know anywhere they're commercially grown.
okay. On like large scale, what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're growing more on the blocks in the smaller scale.
Mm-hmm.
Dredd, did you want to jump in?
Well, chestnuts are. Which ones are those, Gary? Are those Foliota?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Foliota.
Yeah, Foliota. Yeah, so that's. I mean, Agaricalis, they're guild mushrooms, but they're totally different. Foliota are interesting. Foliota Nameco, which is the Nameco mushroom, is the traditional mushroom in miso soup, and there's very low incidence of or low rates of cancer in Japan where they're drinking and eating, miso soup that has the traditional component of Nameco. And when you go to a sushi bar in the United States or anywhere, I mean, you're not getting Foliota Nameco in there, right? So it's an easy mushroom to grow. It grows on logs and on the ground. And how do you grow it, Gary? On blocks, right? Yeah, you do it on blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, we've gone on sawdust as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful slimy mushroom, and I love describing it that way. Like who wants to eat something that's described as slimy?
Yeah, but
It tastes like gelatinous.
yeah.
Gelatinous. Yeah.
Science behind why slimy food is good for you and good for your mucous membranes.
Oh,
So
really?
this whole science behind slimy foods and why you should be eating it.
So you should be eating snails and slugs and okra.
Okra.
Or maybe, yeah.
And the chestnut mushroom too. Yes.
Slimy mushrooms for sure.
Yeah. So when I started really diving down this road, because again, I grew up a vegetable farmer. I mean, I can tell you hundreds of varieties and why they're good for this, that, and the other, and how to grow them. But when I started diving into mushrooms, I mean, obviously they have the common name, and then they have the Latin name, and I was like, I'm never gonna figure this out. But I have started slightly to get a little tiny bit better. So maybe another couple of years I'll have the command that you all do. We have Hans from Panama. He said he really enjoyed every minute of the event. Thanks for the pleasure and privilege to learn from you and hope to meet you personally in the future. Awesome. Yeah, we truly have a worldwide audience. I think so this year is the first time our team is not running the ads for this. So we run a lot of ads for these summits. And I think they actually just went worldwide with this because we are seeing people from Russia, China, literally around the world when we look at the map of like where people are hitting the pages. So it's really, really cool that this is truly a global event.
Right on.
Um,
So Tina,
and-
can I ask you a question?
Go for
Sure.
it.
Sure.
Who do you work for? Phillips?
Yes.
You work, do you remember how long have you worked there for?
Longer than I care to admit. So 25 years.
Do you remember Paul Masuda?
Of course.
He's a
Of
good
course.
friend of mine. He's a good
Yeah.
friend of mine.
Also,
Paul.
also a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he took the video at my wedding.
Oh my god! All right, that's cool. I just wanted to ask. I saw that. So
Yeah.
Anyway, see our personal stuff here online.
And also, I think that I actually know your ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
She and I started a mycological organization together, and then she got too busy, and I got too busy. So I have that in common.
Oh my gosh, guys. Do you know how many countries we have people listening from?
12.
141.
Oh wow!
What?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and pull together.
How do
Obviously,
you do that?
some of these countries, there's not that many hits from, but I'm going to go ahead and share the analytics here.
Oh, look at you! Oh shit!
Wow.
And obviously, United States, we've got 14,000 folks in the United States, about only less than 1,000. Come on, Canada, you're slacking. I know there's up there, but come on, there's got to be more. Russia, we've got a couple. Mongolia, China, India, 110 people from India. Obviously, United Kingdom, over 1,000. We have more people from the United Kingdom than from Canada. Brazil, Argentina, a lot of the African countries, which is amazing. About 440 from Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Indonesia. I know Philippines. We got a fair number from Philippines.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's really cool. Iceland. We got people from Iceland joining us. That is so cool.
See that?
So anyway, I just thought that was really cool to kind of check in on that and check that out.
You're such a nerd.
Yes, I am a nerd. Yes, you would not believe. I wish I could nerd out more on my my grow room temperature. I let my humidity go down a little bit today, and my mushrooms weren't super happy. I kind of got busy. Pam's asking, if mushrooms are beneficial to the environment, is it dangerous for foragers to be removing them from the wild? Does that upset the balance of nature? Ooh, that's a good question.
What's the question again? Can you read it?
Yes. If mushrooms are beneficial to the environment, is it dangerous for foragers to be removing them in the wild? Does that upset the balance of nature?
Okay.
I'm going to say, like, Trad, I think you're the most qualified to answer that, but
I have the answer. I think I have the answer. I was just waiting for somebody else. I was just like,
I feel like it's a little situational.
Yeah.
well, they have had studies because mushrooms are defense mechanisms, and when they release their spores back into the environment on the mycelium that's below them, that they have done studies where if you harvest in that area, that they actually produce more, and that is very true with growing rooms too. With commercial production. So if you're growing in an environment, you want to pick them early. You don't want the spores to release and drop and signal to the mycelium that, hey, why bother, fruiting here or producing more here. So yeah, there's actually an increase in yield when you pick more in environment.
That's good to know. Well, I'm sure that there's energy going into creating the spores too. So if you pick earlier, there's less energy going into that. Probably not much, but yeah. So awesome. Yeah. So basically pick as many mushrooms as you can. And again, the thing is too, I think is it's kind of hard to fathom how many probably million pounds of mushrooms could be foraged around the world that are just going to waste. The other weekend we did a walk in one of the local metro parks, and I came across a huge cluster of chicken of the woods that we were unfortunately a couple weeks too late on. But during that walk, I found 8 different types of fungi, and I'm sure there was more that I was missing too. But in at least one edible one that if I'd gotten there earlier, that would have been, it was several meals worth. Yeah.
Nice.
Um,
No psilocybin questions? It's crazy.
we had to be a little cautious on that one, Trad, because of our lawyers.
All right. Well, I'm not. Again, it's
I can't control what you say live. I can control what I publish on our summit. So
right.
you are free to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Pam says, thanks for the explanation. Paul says, refreshing to see you all interacting as collaborative format, not as competitors. A great contrast to today's dog-eat-dog world. Thanks for demonstrating a different way for the world to operate. Well, and to that, Paul, we just see so much opportunity with mushrooms. I mean, like Tina's from one of the largest, especially mushroom companies in the U.S., and they're more than happy to have her come on and share because they just want to see more people eating, more people buying, more people understanding what mushrooms are all about. Gary grows. He's a manager in the mushroom capital of the world. I don't know how many pounds a week, Gary, that you're responsible for producing. But again, you're just trying to get the word out there about that you can do it on a small scale too. And then Trad, you're the most selfish here among us. You just want us all to start taking magic mushrooms and go down to your retreats in Jamaica.
No, I mean, I want everybody. If you can't do it in your own apartment, then come to Jamaica. Right, Tina?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I'm a big proponent of medicinal mushrooms in all their forms, and there's a lot of great evidence that we could solve some pretty big problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With a more open-minded approach.
Yeah, I started listening to there's a podcast out there, a mushroom podcast out there, and I forget the name of it. We tried to get them on, but I never could get in touch with them. But they did about he interviewed the last remaining researcher from, I think it was whatever the study was that was done in jail. Trad, you're probably very familiar with that one on the.
I'm not.
Oh, that was the prison simulation.
It was covered in Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind?
Yes.
Remember reading about that?
The prison simulation?
It was the one where they actually used prisoners for the medicinal mushroom trials.
Okay.
Was this in Chile or another country?
It was in U.S. and
really,
yeah,
it was a number like the 70s or the 60s before they said, or maybe it was the 80s. Again, it was one of those. Actually, you know what?
I think it might have been the 50s.
I got the podcast on my my app here, so you all chat. I'll find it.
Let's chat.
Yeah.
So, Trad, I mean, do you have any questions for the Stanford prison experiment? Val said, and Vance, no, she says, never mind.
No, that was a psychological experiment.
Okay.
An interesting experiment, but I just had a quick question for you, Trad. How do you feel about the treatment of PTSD with psychedelic mushrooms?
I feel strongly for it, but like any treatment that anyone coming into that program needs to be screened and on the severity. Every individual is different, and there has to be medical screening, psychological screening for that, and I've seen a lot of benefit to that kind of research.
Okay.
You know, not just like war veterans. I'm talking rape victims. I'm talking, you know, people that have been abused in abusive relationships and things like that. I think we talked about this last night, but the number one class of drugs is antidepressants in the United States, and it's a big problem.
Yeah.
And if someone can get a treatment with psilocybin and it can last for 3 months or 6 months, that's a big win for that person.
Yeah.
You know, no dependency on drugs that just kind of numb yourself down. It's like a Band-Aid. And if you can't heal yourself, if you can't feel yourself, you can't heal yourself. Right. And that's what it does.
Yeah. And to me, there could be a tremendous amount of good done with the opioid epidemic.
Exactly, Tina.
I mean, so many lives could be saved.
Mhm.
And I mean, I have kids in their 20s, and they both lost friends to opioids. And I just feel like, you know, this could be a game changer.
Yeah, they need to lift the veil of criminalization of this particular substance, you know, and it's been used for thousands of years. I mean, beyond what we know for that purpose. And all of a sudden it's just, you know, when you slam the door on something like that and turn it off, you know, people are afraid to use it because they're afraid of being caught. You know, and now it's getting back. It's getting back. You know, we're moving that way, which is good.
So
Really good.
I had a friend who's actually interesting enough from Oregon, but this is his father got on, I forget what type of medication for an injury, and pretty much he's now dependent on it, and he's pretty much wrecked their home life because he literally just you know, goes into these crazy cycles because of this medication that he's on. And so it's just, you're right. There needs to be, again, it comes back to who controls, you know, who controls the FDA, who controls, you know, it's the drug companies. Yeah. And that experiment, I found out what it was. It was called the Harvard experiment with Gunther Weil. Anyway, it was an episode of the Mushroom Revival podcast. So that was it was interesting, definitely an interesting episode to listen to.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you have something like psilocybin that solves a problem, meaning removing the pill a day approach, which is a lot of money in that. Boy, I tell you, that is disruptive, and there's going to be a lot of lobbying against it. You know, there's pushback, and there is, but I feel that there's so much public interest in it that, you know, we can push through this as a community. You know, if you're listening to this and the agenda, there's you know, to decriminalize in your area, you know, vote yes, or, you know, look at the other cities and states that have done it and start your own initiative, and let's just connect all the dots. You know, let's do it. Let's turn the United States blue. I'm not talking about Democratic. I'm talking about Bruce blue. Let's turn the United States blue.
Now, it did just pass in Oregon, correct?
Yeah.
This last election cycle, and also in Denver the year before.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, those are the two areas that it would pass to. Once we get the pass in Ohio here, I think we'll have come a long way as a country. It's interesting because Ohio this year had a abnormality that's never happened before an election. That Ohio went for the presidential candidate that lost the general election. That's the first time it's ever happened.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we are a very interesting state. I'm just putting it that way. Let's see. I think it's Deanne, says, as a caterer, I find there's no standard for white button sizes. Button seems to be all the same, but companies vary widely on what is considered a medium mushroom.
I'll chime in on that one. The biggest problem we have is that everything's hand harvested. So a lot of it comes down to the eyes of the picker. And kind of once you get it picked and put in baskets or the trays or tills you buy at the store, it kind of is what it is. It's virtually impossible, and Tina knows this too, that once the mushrooms come in, they just kind of are what they are. As long as they're an acceptable quality, the size you can be a little flexible on because you can't really do much else with them once they're packaged.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think you just kind of have to look through the mushrooms and just kind of, yeah.
And sometimes it works out good for the consumer. They get bigger ones than they actually paid for. Sometimes, it's just kind of, it is what it is. And especially around the holidays, we run really short. So you're going to see a wider variety in sales, just us trying to fill the orders so that they can be on the table for the holidays. So, it just kind of depends on demand within the industry.
Actually, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, psychedelic mushrooms were decriminalized in September.
Oh,
Very cool.
excuse me.
Someone's asking, Trad, can you comment on how one exposes garden seeds to worm castings to inoculate them?
All you have to do is just like dip or like make a little ball around them, and just like a little garden, like a seed bomb. That's it. Just barely get it around them. As soon as the root radical like germinates and pierces and comes out, it's going to pick up the gut bacteria of the worm castings. That research was done at Cornell. It's awesome. It's amazing. And it cultivates the gut bacteria of the worm for the rest of the life of the plant.
Okay. And that's the really cool thing is like, getting this in the mycelium, getting some on the seeds. It's amazing. Because we're starting to play, we've been playing with this for a number of years now in the vegetable world is, inoculating the seeds, and you do an A and B comparison. There's a complete difference in how fast the one seeds grow, the ones that have been inoculated compared to the others. It blows your mind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Tammy's asking, is there any benefit to composting old wire mushrooms into our compost piles for added goodness? Oh, that's interesting. That's a very interesting question. I mean, you're going to pull mycelium into there, right? You might get some cross mycelium coming into there.
Well, you get spores for sure. We've dumped bluets into there, the pile. Mushrooms that are good compost, of course, like bluets. And we've had bluets decompose what's in the pile and then run off into the woods and fruit like 10 feet away, So they're doing something, they're microbial diversity, especially fungal diverse over bacterial is a benefit. Yeah, so I say thumbs up.
Andrew's asking, what types of wood work for the log stacking method you spoke about? I think you were talking about that, Tina, in relationship to just the lion's mane, right? I mean, obviously, totems or logs work for a number of different species.
Yeah, and it depends on what you're trying to grow, but most hardwood species will work for most wood decay. It depends on what you have.
Yeah. All right. This is a really good question. Do you have a most recommended book or website for researching microdosing for healing depression? I don't. I'm not sure, Tina or Gary. I know this might be more of a trad question.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I've seen a number of talks about it, but I don't. So yeah, trad's back. That's a good question for trad.
Do I have most recommended book or website for researching microdosing? No, I don't. I really don't. I'm still exploring that whole area, and I think that there's not a lot of good, solid, concrete information about dosing properly, but I do know that dosing it really depends on your day and what you have to do, and your tolerance level. It's like, and I can speak personally about that, is that I was microdosing, and it was probably in the 250 to 300 milligram mode, somewhere in that range. And that seemed to get things done for me. Some people take it for headaches and depression and things like that. I was just trying to get things done, like to just, it's like a complicated life, and and trying to just get to the next step, is sometimes hard. So I don't know. Yeah, there's more work to be done there. And
Yeah.
I'd like to look into it, obviously. And I'm willing to take a hit for everybody. Oh, wait a minute. I can't say that. I can't say hit. We're not live. As long as we're not live, we're okay, right?
No, if we are live, we're okay. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well.
It's not a big deal.
So Andrew's asking to clarify what logs other than maple work for lion's mane.
I would think beech, alder, oak.
Maple.
Yeah, definitely maple. I'm just running through my species here. I'm not sure about hickory or ash.
Mhm.
I don't know if you have any experience with that, Trad, but I would think anything you have on your woodlot that you need to thin or cull.
Mhm.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, cherry for us too. And here's the thing with shrine. This is a eco-type. Now, lion's mane on the West Coast, East Coast, is like different, and they're all strain specific. So I always say, like try to figure out where your strains come from, what wood type they're acclimated to. I mean, I'm down the Southeast. I pick maitake down here on oak, and then I go up to the Northeast, and they're growing on cherry and sycamore, different things. And I wasn't looking for those trees, and there they are.
Sycamore.
So it's odd. And
That's good to know.
I would just say that maple, cherry, it really depends on your region. And when you start seeing the mushrooms in your area fruiting on those wood types, that should tell you that that's that strain in your region having a preference for that wood type. But if you buy in a strain, it has a preference for what it was cloned from, right? If you try to put it on something else in your area, it may not work. It may not like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Glenna is asking, is creating mushroom leather out of mycelium a complicated process?
That's a complicated question.
Yeah, and that would depend on what species you're working with and what end product you want, what your processes are. Yeah, not a simple question.
Yeah.
Did someone speak on mushroom leather or no?
No. I know, I believe Paul Stamets has been doing some work with like hats made out of mycelium, right? But I don't think that's leather.
Well,
There's
I can.
San Francisco that's doing fairly big production on mushroom leather. I don't remember the name of the company.
Well, actually, I wish we had Merlin here tonight, but I believe he's from England, and so that's why, obviously, in England it's very late. But he does talk about there's a company in New York City that's doing a whole lot of work, even work for they're doing work for the defense department, building shelters out of mycelium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the whole leather thing. I was contacted by a company actually yesterday that makes mushroom leather, and about some consultation work. And reishi, the mushrooms that make like a film, like a almost like a rind
Yes.
is basically what it does, and it makes this little thing you can peel off, and that would be probably best done in a tray or something flat, or something that can be shaved or just peeled off. We've done things like this for the last 4 years. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I just want to give a shout out, folks. If you are listening, go ahead and share this on your wall. Just share this so other people can find out about the Mushroom Summit. Again, like I said at the beginning, we almost have 20,000 people signed up for this. And obviously, that's the live. Once we go evergreen with this after the summit, we'll probably end up with 100,000 people in the next 6 to 9 months who actually will go through this. So just absolutely amazing. Yeah, how many people we're reaching with this. But go ahead, share this with a friend, and we'll keep answering questions here for at least a little bit longer.
Hey, man.
All right, adding you back, Gary. Looks like I lost you for a second.
Yep, we're back.
We got a question here about corn smut.
Yeah, and don't mispronounce it, because if you do, it says something really nasty. So just put that out there. I don't know of anything that infects corn that is similar that would be poisonous.
Yeah, it's very specific. I mean, if you find it, it's edible.
Yeah, and you can actually inoculate the corn silk and grow it and make it grow yourself, or you can get susceptible corn out of Mexico that you can grow some of this, and it's delicious.
Yeah, and they grow it on purpose down there, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, they have susceptible varieties of corn that will attract the huitlacoche.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, I've grown
Corn.
I've grown corn smut. Can I interject for a minute?
Go for it.
Yeah, corn smut's awesome, and yeah, she's right. You take the spores and you put them in water and syringe and just inject it right down the corn silk channel when they're young, and yeah, it'll infect them. Are there any other species that look poisonous or deadly? No, it's very unique to the corn. It's got a lot of lysine. It's like, what someone told me who's a corn grower here? They said that corn growers get 0.8 of a cent for every ear of corn. 0.8 of a cent. And if the ear is infected with corn smut, they get $1 per ear. So we are trying to figure this out commercially, like how to figure this out, because there's a demand. It's an acquired taste, right, Tina?
Yeah, I love it. It's like
I love it too.
Cornmeal and mushroom. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a corny, shroomy guacamole. I don't even know how to describe it.
It's delicious.
It's like, yeah, it's great. It's like an expanded pearl onion.
Yeah.
I can go for that.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Jake's asking, building on the tree species, any thoughts on edible carrot that work well on conifers that taste all right?
That's probably varieties that work well on
Yes,
conifers.
I think yes. There are some mushrooms that go on conifers. What about the edible on conifers?
If you compost that sawdust long enough, you can grow stuff on it.
Okay.
Yeah, but in fact, some of the varieties you learned how to grow out of Japan, they actually use composted conifer sawdust in their transfer series.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have much experience directly with that.
Very cool. Yeah, I wish I could have gotten some mushroom growers from Japan on, because they do just crazy stuff over there. I mean, just blows your mind kind of the stuff that they're doing over there in China.
Yeah, the only things we have going on are like cauliflower, and that's like outdoors on stumps, and also Neolentinus lepidius, which is the train rubber. That's something that grows on conifer stumps, pine stumps. That's edible young, but it's just not that great of an edible. It really isn't. There's better options.
Yeah. Someone was asking about chaga. How rare is it in the wild? Can it be over harvested? If so, what are medicinal properties of it? Oh my gosh. If you didn't get to it, we tried to get Charles on, but he had some sort of event going on tonight, so he couldn't make it. But he did talk about chaga, again, not in super detail, but he did talk about the benefits of it. Also, who also talked about it in the summit today was Ryan and Emily, and they were actually going to try to join tonight, but they weren't able to make it work. But so we did have 2 good talks on chaga, a lot of great stuff there. How rare is it?
Well, that's relative to where you're at. I mean, it's rare in my area, and because I don't have the right trees, and I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, so I'd have to go up to the mountains to the tree line to find the right type of birch trees. And if I went up to Vermont, it would be pretty widespread. If I went to Siberia, it would be everywhere. So it's really about the habitat. Can it be over harvested? Yes, because they have a very low. If it's a low occurrence area like in mine, yes, it can be over harvested because they don't produce spores but a couple minutes out of the year. So when somebody takes some, I always advise that. I mean, obviously they're hard resting structures that sit on a tree. So how do you get that off? Hit it with the back of an axe, flat axe or something. You just pop it off. Well, I tell people just leave some of that there as a battery, and don't take it all. But people are greedy and they take the whole damn thing, and that's what's going to become a problem. So just realize that chaga is a very delicate, slow-growing, very slow reproducing organism that has to be respected, and you need to leave some of that, right? Don't over-harvest it in your area.
It has been hunted to extinction in some parts of New York State, for example.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm from Vermont. My family's in Vermont, and I was just up there last weekend and found a lot of chaga on all different kinds of birch. So even on black birch or sweet birch. And so when I go back again, I want to harvest that and see if it has that wintergreen taste that sweet birch does. I'm curious about that.
Ooh, interesting. All right. Linda says that Jess actually talked about mushroom leather, so that was cool. Yeah, if you didn't get Jess Starwood's talk, she is a chef, food photographer, and forager on the West Coast. Tread, do you know her? Do you know Jess?
Yeah, I met her online.
Okay.
We're mushroommingle.com. Everybody is. I mean, she's awesome. She just wrote a book, right? And
it's coming out this spring.
Yeah, I traveled around. I'm like keeping my pulse on everybody, and there's what's really cool is like this is a genuine renaissance. You see it, and you see it online, and everybody's this is a surge. Let's ride the wave, right?
Absolutely, yes. And this is a great question from Sarah. And you absolutely, again, Sarah, if you haven't listened to Charles's talk about the medicinals, and then also Tina, again, talked just on the lion's mane. She went too deep into the research on that. So make sure you do that. But yeah, great question. I don't know if anyone you want to tackle that.
Yeah. I mean, I always, like I said, I always go for the whole food because digestion starts as soon as you smell it cooking, you see it, your body starts to change, and you get all the benefit from the food. That being said, I don't always cook. I don't always eat lion's mane. So I make tinctures and I dry it and I have powder. So however you get the mushroom is better than not getting the mushroom.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, folks, keep those questions coming. This has been a lot of fun. This is a good one. And I wish we could have, so tomorrow on the summit, we have, gosh, I'm now blanking on his name. Tim Tim will be sharing. Actually, I said last night, I did an actual video tour of his farm, and he actually demonstrated, inoculating logs and totems and stuff like that. So very cool. They were going to visit him in the middle of the woods, and literally, we include in the video me driving up to his farm because it's literally this tiny little track up into the hills of Kentucky. It's this little holler. I mean, it's just like they only get like in the middle of the winter, they only get like 4 or 5 hours of daylight in that little holler because it's so tiny. But fascinating. You're going to really enjoy that. He talks all about that. And again, it kind of, I think both systems are good. I don't think there's one system better than the other. Who wants to weigh in on that?
I do.
Okay.
Because I know Anne Marie. Hi, Anne Marie. She's a good friend of ours, and she's also one of our instructors for our ID class. So, damn, Anne Marie, you don't know the answer to this question? What's wrong with you?
I think she's seeding it. She's trying to make you look good, Trad.
she's throwing me a softball. Damn it. On the ground is better. They're going to wick up moisture and stuff like that. There is a risk of, rain splatter and stuff like that, getting things up into the gills, but they're going to fruit much better on the ground. Stacked logs, no way. They're too fleshy. That's for shiitakes, that's stuff like that. Very, very woody stuff. So I would say I would prefer to do it not on, totems. If you do a totem, they're going to fruit right near the ground anyway, because they're going to wick up the ground moisture and they're going to fruit where the moisture is coming from. They're going to position themselves near the ground. So I mean, it's almost pointless to do a 2 or 3 tier totem. Just put one round on the ground, inoculate it, and let it come out. But make sure the ground around it has ground cover, so there's not rain splatter getting sand or debris up into the gills.
Okay.
That's my vote.
Now, you don't want to set that totem on the ground cover. You want it to be nestled down into the dirt and leaves.
Yeah, just a little bit. It doesn't matter. It makes ground contact because that mushroom mycelium is going to drill its way. If I was an oyster mushroom, which I think about a lot, that I would probably drill my way down about 6 inches.
Okay, absolutely. And so you're saying, though, only one block, don't go more than one block because it's really not going to be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It's a battery, but, I mean, why not just set all those on the ground and just, let them fruit, let them wick up the moisture. It's the top 2/3 of that stack is going to be dry,
Okay, and when you're inoculating the rounds, are you just putting the mycelium on over it, or are you actually drilling it in for the totems?
We drill it in. Yeah,
okay.
We just drill it in just like you would a regular shiitake log and just put it on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Caroline asked a good question.
I guess I would say that you get more out of mushrooms if they're cooked. So, that's why I do the the cooked slurry of lion's mane and dry it and then powder it, because you break down those chitin cell walls. But again, any way you get those mushrooms is better than not getting those mushrooms.
Yes. Yeah.
That the chitin is same chemical structure as crab shells and diatoms and copepods, and we really don't. Americans or Western culture like us don't have chitinase. A lot of that ability to break things down. Eastern Europeans, ironically, do have more chitinase in their system to break down mushrooms and raw mushrooms and things like that. But bioavailability is the key word, right? Right, Tina? It's like that is when it's a hardened sugar molecule, and when you cook it, you soften it up, and it becomes more digestible and bioavailable. And chitin is like the rebar, and if you can dissolve the rebar a little bit, you're going to be able to absorb the mushroom, the nutrition, the vitamin D, the protein, the medicinal properties, all that. is standing behind that firewall, which is chitin.
Mhm.
Right.
So if you're sprinkling on what you're cooking, then apparently you're going to cook it.
Yeah.
Which
And how much cooking needs to be done? Because like some of the you can cook them for a while. Do you just need to kind of get them to a certain temperature, or do you want all the water out of them? Or if you're blenderizing them, obviously you're not getting the water out of them because you're cooking them in the water.
Hold on a minute. Did you say blenderizing? Was that a word?
Is it a word?
Blenderizing. Hold on.
I was homeschooled, so I do get a pass here, right?
I'm gonna look it up.
Elizabeth has a great question for you, Gary.
I would say my favorite mushroom to grow on a large scale would have to be the cremini. It's a fun mushroom to grow. You can do all different sizes. Obviously, portobellos you can get out of it too. And it's also much more forgiving with the water patterns as opposed to the white button mushrooms, which you are much more susceptible to bacteria blotch and then scaling if over dried. So to me, the cremini is a little more forgiving, and I personally prefer them over the whites. I just think they're a better mushroom to eat.
Yeah.
So
I think they're much prettier too than the white.
yeah. Well, they seem to keep a lot longer than the whites. If you have whites and browns both picked on the same day, you'll get a lot more time out of the browns than you will on the whites.
Yeah. So, Trad, did you figure it out? Is it a word?
Damn it, you're right. Blenderized, blenderizing, blenderized.
Okay.
I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to that question, increasing the surface area, cooking, and a lot of people ask when they see a question like that, it's like, what about the white button mushrooms on the salad bar, right? Tina.
I mean, I always tell people I cook my mushrooms, but
Yeah.
a really, really fresh white mushroom on a salad with some really nice dressing is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I'm sure you get something out of it, not as much as if you cooked it, but that really fresh white mushroom on a salad is wonderful. The trouble is when you get them on a salad
just don't make it
bar,
happen.
they're not that fresh.
Gary's grandfather loved like just
Yeah, he would just pull them right off the bed and just eat them as he was going through the houses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he would just take them right off, cut the stump, and just start eating them. That was like his little snack throughout as he was walking the houses with us.
you guys could bring him like fresh tills of mushrooms when he was in
Yeah.
a nursing home too.
Yeah, we'd always bring them to him, and that was like his treat. He would just sit there and like nibble on them. So
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's kind of got their own flavor preferences and that kind of stuff. Some people it's just nostalgic more than anything.
I feel like he helped.
They lived to be 94. So I mean,
Yeah, and with white button mushrooms and cremini too, you lose 95% of those volatile flavor compounds within 24 hours of picking.
Oh my gosh.
You have an opportunity to pick one off a bed and take a bite. It's a whole different experience than getting it in the grocery store.
So we need a little pilgrimage to kind of square.
I remember one of my first dates with Gary. He took me on a tour of the farm, and he was like, "Have you ever had a fresh mushroom?" And I was like, "I mean, I've had mushrooms, I guess." He handed me a white button off of the bed, and I ate it. I was like, "This does not taste anything like I expected it to." It's great.
It's a completely different
Yeah.
experience. And I'm married to a
What was that?
mushroom grower.
What was that? Tina, what was that metric about the flavor? Like 95% is lost within what?
Of the volatile flavor compounds, like 1-octatriol. There's a whole raft of volatile flavor compounds, and especially in white button mushrooms, and you lose 95% within 24 hours.
Damn, I wonder if that's true for other people. Yeah.
The volatile flavor compounds, not all the flavor, but the volatiles.
Okay.
Is there a study that you can point us to?
That this came out of Penn State, and I will look that
course.
up. Yeah, I'll look that up.
I
think it might
Dan Royce probably did it.
To me, the white button, those have a lot more aroma than a lot of the oysters do. Is that true, or am I just Now I'm getting so used to the oysters in the grow room that for some reason I just can't smell them any longer.
Oh, I mean, oysters to me have a wonderful, almost anisette smell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, definitely different.
And then shiitake has even a different smell. Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is what you get used to. I mean, like when I go in the oyster, the shiitake houses, to me, it's almost overpowering. And when I go in the white or a brown house, you really can't, you really don't smell them nearly as much because you're around it every day.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So all those receptors are saturated.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like the smell of sauteing maitake, though. You guys, maitake? Oh, it fills the house. It's like incense.
Yeah,
It's
wonderful.
amazing. Yeah, it's. All right, let's change the subject.
I tried to find my maitake. We have a ton of red oak around here. We have, I forget how many 1,000 acres of metro parks around here, and I searched all fall and couldn't find any maitake. But again, they're kind of hard to find too because they blend in. I could have been looking in the wrong spot. Thermosensitive, but again, you're cooking them because you need to kind of break that down. So right, they're not going to lose the benefit.
No, you're not going to lose the benefit. In fact, you'll make it more available. But that's kind of
But
why
be careful about just drying and leaving in the presence of oxygen and stuff like that. Right. You want to dry the mushrooms completely and freeze them for medicinal purposes if you're going to try to preserve those, because they'll oxidize dry in the presence of oxygen. So,
okay.
I do have some questions about that, because most of the studies I read are on shelf-stable dried mushrooms. So I haven't seen a lot of studies on fresh lion's mane and how that differs, because to do most of the studies, they have to be dried and powdered. So I myself, like I said, I used the fresh mushrooms when I started tincture.
yeah, I do that too. I prefer fresh, but if you have to, the question is, if you buy them, then people are like, well, I dry them and powder them and store them. No, you want to cut them into slices and chunk them up, because the minute that you powder them and dry them, then they're oxidizing because there's more surface area, right? So keep them chunky monkey and dry in the freezer, then blend them or powder them right before you make a tincture, right?
Okay. All right. How easy to start lion's mane mushrooms, and where you can get some to start your own? Yeah, we've got a number of suppliers. There's a number of suppliers in Canada, and I'm sure people in the U.S. ship across the border too. Trad, do you ship to Canada with your stuff?
I mean, I know we ship to Canada. It's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you could just get stuff from Trad, or there are Canadian suppliers I know. Top Shelf is up there. I don't think they ship retail though, but there are some retail ones up there. But lion's mane, I mean, they're not much harder than the oysters to grow.
Shit, they fruit pretty fast,
Yeah.
I mean, on logs, they're low yield on logs, but if you want to grow them indoors, our strains and our bags fruit within 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. It's fast. As soon as they colonize the sawdust, they're popping.
Yeah, and they're about 7 to 9 days from when they start to pop to harvest, right? They're a little bit longer than the oysters.
They're slow, yeah, but they're fun to watch.
Let's see this one right here. Bioaccumulating metals and how to ensure the safety of metals and nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals. Man, I can't pronounce these words.
Nutraceuticals. Well, some are better than others.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a complicated, question. It's really relative on the species, the ecotype, the temperature and environment and everything. We do remediation studies here. Metals, I mean, naturally are accumulated into tissue. You've got mercury, you've got nickel, arsenic, lead, what the hell? It's like they will. And how to ensure the safety of mushrooms and nutraceuticals? Well, it really depends. I mean, if you're growing them, you should test your water. Mushrooms are 90 something percent water. If you're concerned about that, you need to test your water for that.
Yeah, and it's wildly variable between species and even within species, how they bioaccumulate, and it depends on pH in the substrate, in the soil. Yeah, it seems like a simple question, but it's a very, very complicated question. And how do you ensure the safety? Know your supplier. First of all.
Yes. Know who's growing your mushrooms. Sandy asked, if saying dried mushrooms should be kept in the freezer? Yes, if you're trying to preserve them as everything, because they can oxidize. Jeremy's asking, how well do beneficial medicinals survive in beer wort? That's an interesting question.
I don't know. Brad?
Well, nobody's done the testing, you have to do comparative studies. You have to do before, what you have and then what's in there. But I'm going to speculate, if I could, just speculate that if you ferment medicinal mushrooms, like you put them in there, you try to do in the wort, that there are antibiotics in there, and they will damage. A lot of them damage the yeast. We've done some beer recipes with that, and the beer does not. It spoils. It turns out bad because the mushroom is trying to kill the other organism. It's like there's other compounds in there. We add the medicinal compound after the fermentation is done and complete, so there's no interaction. The yeast is pretty much dead or done. There's just. But I would say that there is darkness, there is high CO2, which is good. So there's no oxidation going on, things like that. I would speculate, yes, that beer is a good delivery system. And I think we've proved that out in Telluride.
Yeah. On the other hand, in a different fermentation system, I've done a lot of experimentation here at home on sourdough cultures, and I sort of thought that it would knock back my sourdough culture, but the sourdough culture seems to love it. Wow. And it makes the most wonderful bread. And I've substituted up to a quarter of the flour with mushroom powder, and it's made wonderful bread. But that's a whole different raft of organisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually just had a question come in through my email, because I'm monitoring like 16 different things going on here. And people are saying, it's like, I don't do Facebook. And I was like, we're live on YouTube too. So if you go to our YouTube channel, Growing Farmers, we're live there too. So we aren't missing that. And again, the summit is not just on Facebook or just on YouTube. There is, you have to get an email. We send you to a page that I think today had 10 different presentations. So fabulous information. Right now, there is currently, there was like 550 people, 552 people live now watching the talks on there. Yeah, there's a lot more people there than there are hanging out with us, which is completely fine. But yeah, so there's a lot of, there's that. Chris is asking about turkey tails. And medicinal mushrooms, easiest to grow year-round. Chris, make sure you listen to Charles's talk, Tina's talk. I mean, you're in South Carolina. I mean, all the medicinals can be grown there relatively easy. Chaga is going to be hard, though, because Charleston's not up in the mountains, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Charleston, and that's where I got my first mushroom job on Johns Island. So Somerville, right in, right inland just a little bit. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that is a mushroom paradise down there, for a lot of different mushrooms. So you can reach out to us here. I mean, Chris, we're in your area. If you want to reach out to Mushroom Mountain, we can see how we can help you out.
Mm-hmm. Trad, what are you using to monitor your grow rooms and all your systems? Do you have like a monitoring system that you take care of everything?
I do have a handheld device that's a CO2 meter and a particulate meter. Checks the humidity and things like that. It's just like a little handheld device, and I can go from room to room and check it. Yeah. In a few seconds.
Do you have anything that you check them remotely with, or is it all just in person?
There you go.
This is ours. Yeah. This is the iMonit system, and you can see there just basically every time it takes a reading, it's kind of bouncing all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's set up that we can do. I think we can do CO2 with this too. I didn't buy the CO2 one because it's pretty expensive. But this is temperature, humidity, and it's incredibly accurate, and it works really, really well.
Michael, what's it called?
iMonit. Yeah. So basically, that's the company brand right there at the top. And so in part of our business, actually, we have a guy that we contract with that installs it. So he'll come out and do basically an assessment of what needs to be done. He did all our on-farm cameras, Wi-Fi, bounced Wi-Fi into our barn, around our barn, and then hooked up the whole monitoring system. So we have like 8 different. We have a soil moisture probe. We've got, obviously, in the grow room, we've got the coolers done. We've got our basement for water. So if there's water in our basement, it will alert us, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a cool system. It all kind of connects together, all sorts of alerts on your phone. So it's kind of nice.
If you don't mind me asking, what's the kind of range on pricing for something like that? Because that's like invaluable for if we haven't heard of it.
By the time I was done, I had spent a couple grand, but
$2 grand is not bad for not having to go back to the farm and check every night.
But that was with cameras and stuff. So that wasn't like, I probably have $1,000 into the monitoring, maybe 1,500 max into the monitoring system. Obviously, you have to have a base station. Your base station ties right into your network, and then they also have remote ones that will go to cell though too. So you can set up all different ways. I would just, if I were you can reach out to Robert. Just email me. I'll get in touch with Robert, and he can walk you through it. He'll either sell you for self-install, or he actually does install as well. So
okay, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's saved my butt more than once.
It seems like a really good investment.
Yeah. All right. Tammy says, thank you so much for the great information and taking the time to share the wisdom. So important for the future of a healthy world. Wishing you all the best health and happiness. Well, thank you, Tammy. And, I'll end it with a real technical one. I have no idea about.
This is easy. No.
Yeah.
Next question. I mean, no, because it's mycorrhizal, and that tree would have to be years in age to produce some kind of fruiting body. And I mean, there's so many different microbial interactions to produce those types of fungi. You'd have to match up the strain with the tree. It has, it's like I took a mycorrhizal course at University of Florida 2 years ago, and it's complicated. It's probably, if I was to think about things that I want to do in life, that would be probably the last, because it's like, hey, I started growing oyster mushrooms. I started growing shiitakes. I grew maitake. You increase your level of difficulty. But I know it's a beautiful mushroom. We're looking at it like, oh, let's grow some blue mushrooms. But they're not. They don't cook out blue. They don't make blue potatoes. They make green eggs and ham.
We grew wine caps for a little bit, and we were honestly not very impressed with it.
They're
Yeah.
beautiful mushrooms, but as far as the taste and cooking them and all that, we never quite got that part down.
Well, we had them for dinner once for the first time, and we all ended up with an allergic reaction with them, and we all ended up in the bathroom for the rest of the night.
All right. Too much information, guys. Too much information.
Gary's like kicking.
I didn't warn you about that when you sold me my spawn for the wine cap. Caution: this can cause untold reactions.
Yeah, we just ship a bag of spawn and a little thing of toilet paper with it.
I did check my so I got some spawn from you a couple months ago. I put it in our wood chip beds, and I actually checked the other day, and I've got spawn running or mycelium running all through the beds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
Are you sure I shipped you Stropharia?
No.
I believe that's what I
Maybe I shipped you something else.
could have. I'll have to go look. I still have a bag of it because I didn't use the whole thing. I'm sure I should have put it in the ground or done something with it. But I'm gonna go check on that.
I'm just kidding. I don't want to say anything to incriminate myself.
Florida. I mean, obviously, pink oysters are a warm one, but anything else that they should be growing at warm temperatures?
What would be the best mushroom strain to grow in Florida? That's kind of me, I guess. I assume most, but there's not most.
Gary just plays you.
The tropical oysters, pink, golden, and blue, warm blue oysters. But then you also have almond portobello, which is good. The almond scented agaricus. We've got strains of Macrocybes titans, which are experimental. Patty straw, giant milky, Colossae indica. There's a lot. It really depends on where you are in Florida, because I used to live in Florida. I mean, if you're in Panhandle, it's totally different than Homestead. I lived in West Palm Beach, and it's warm. It also the availability of the materials that you grow them on, right? What are you going to grow? You can grow what you can sell. Don't sell what you can grow, because you can grow anything, but grow what you can sell, if that's your intent.
Can you grow on palm fronds?
I've never tried palm fronds. No, I've done banana fronds, sugarcane.
Yeah.
Water hyacinth, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we are going to wrap it up. I know we just lost Tina there, so I'm not sure if she blipped out or she had to head out. But thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We really had a lot of fun. Great questions we answered here. And stay tuned for tomorrow. Tomorrow has even more content than we had today. So fabulous presentations coming tomorrow. Make sure you all jump in at 6 a.m. All the talks switch over from day 1 to day 2. So make sure you're ready for that. And Chris has asked, this is Chris again. Where did Trad say to check out to learn more? Just go in Mushroom Mountain. You guys got a ton of information over there.
There's a lot of videos and content on the site. It's an interpretive site. So
yes.
If you can't find anything what you're looking for, just email the site and they'll figure it out.
And Gary, you guys on your site too have information as well. If you go to, it's honeymoonfarmpa.com?
That's correct. Yeah. If you go to what we grow, there should be a section on mushrooms, and you can read all about them.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you again so much for coming in, Trad, Gary, and I know Tina is gone, but I'm just going to give her a shout out. Thank you so much, Tina, as well. Really appreciate you coming on and just sharing your expertise again. And we'll be back tomorrow with more information.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks,
yeah,
everybody.
Thanks for having me. Absolute honor, everybody. May the streamers be with you.
Absolutely. Yes.